there was nothing. Until God said, now is the time. And suddenly, something. So many things, stars and seas, birds and trees, and so there was creation. Until God said, now is the time. And suddenly, a man, a woman, shaped in his image, made from the earth in his breath, separated by sin nonetheless. And so, there were humans. Until God said, now is the time. And suddenly, a savior, a baby, a son, sent to reunite us and to save everyone. Until God says again, now is the time. On Sunday morning, the alarm goes off. Working a 9 to 5, but at what cost? Staring at our phones, looking for a picture to post and doze off. Just to let everyone think we're all right. All the while wondering, is there more to life? We're walking out paces with all the other stranger faces, checking off the things that make us good people. Treat others equal, don't be deceitful, but is there more to life? Just like before, we can hear God implore. Now is the time for hope and connection. Enough for seclusion, rejection. Now is the time for resurrection, for starting over. Enough for the shame. Now is the time to shout and proclaim, I believe there is more. What are you waiting for? It's yours and it's mine. Now is the time for more than just me. Now it's time for us and we. Now it's time for God's family. You can't find it alone, and it goes beyond things that are known. Now is the time to see you are loved. No more pressure, no measure, we're better together. Now is the time to share tragedies and victories with others. No more wondering, no more wandering. Here is only belonging. Now is the time.
John chapter 13, 34 through 35. A new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another.
Awesome. Thank you, Brinkley. That's where we're going to be focusing in tonight. We are in the middle of a series that we are simply calling Starting Off Right. And our goal is that we want this school year to be a school year where we start things off right, where we step into the school year, and as we go through transitions, as our lives intersect with people this school year, we want to make sure that we are fully prepared for God to use us, because the truth is that God is going to open up some doors for us to be able to walk through this school year, and we want to be fully prepared to step through those doors and do good things for God and for his kingdom. And so last week, we simply said this. We simply said the best way we can possibly start this school year off right is taking it all the way back to the foundation and understanding who God is. That God is love. And that God being love means that he is wildly, incredibly, amazingly in love with you. And it starts there. It starts with understanding at our core that we are truly loved by God. And that inside of us, there is this call and there's this longing for love that can only be filled by God. And it's so important that before we ever step out and try to share Jesus with other people, before we ever step out and start to talk about God, that we have an understanding that we are truly, deeply, powerfully loved. And this week, we are going to talk about sharing Jesus with others. If we're going to start the school year off right, we want to be prepared to share Jesus with others in a way that draws them into the love of this God that loves us with this reckless love, as we sang about earlier. So, have you ever had a conversation that altered the direction of your life, that changed your life? I remember it was the summer before my senior year of high school, and I was friends with this guy named Brad. And I had gone over to Brad's house and gone down into his basement, and we were talking about the upcoming school year. We were going to be seniors. We were really excited, and we started talking about the football season, how excited we were to go to the games, and then Brad said this. Brad said, hey, I'm paying attention, James. I said, hey, I'm making a flag. And I was like, all right. He's like, I'm making this flag, and I'm going to be like the head school spirit guy. And I was like, oh, I want in on this. And so we got together, and we decided we were going to make this flag. We made the flag out of like a 4-inch PVC pipe and a twin-size bed sheet. And we decided that every football game, we were going to wear camo pants and towels around ourselves as capes. And when our team scored a touchdown, we would jump the fence that was separating the bleachers from the track, and we would pick up this 4-inch PVC pipe, and we would run all the way down the track with our flag and all the way back. Now, I had never intended to walk into my senior year being the school spirit guy. Like, I didn't necessarily want to be that guy. But after having a conversation with Brad, suddenly the course of my senior year changed. And Brad and I became school spirit guys for all the sports. We went to all kinds of stuff: football, basketball, track, cross country. We went to everything. And we were just the school spirit guys. On the night Jesus was crucified, he had a conversation that changed the course of life for his disciples. On the night Jesus was crucified, his disciples knew that something big was coming. He had said he was coming into Jerusalem, and his disciples knew what that meant. His disciples knew that he was coming into Jerusalem, and he was going to be set up as king, and he was going to overthrow Rome, and everything was going to be awesome, and it was going to be incredible, and they were going to be his right-hand men, and they were going to be set for life. And Jesus sits down with them, and he shares this Passover meal that we now see as the Last Supper. And we look at it from this side of the grave, and we see that Jesus rose, and we understand all the symbolism and what all he meant. But as far as the disciples understood at this point, this was the night that everything was going to be awesome. This was the night that everything was going to change. This was the night Jesus was going to go in, and he was saying, everything is going to change. And he was going to go in, and he was going to overthrow the kingdom, and there was going to be this battle, and Jesus was going to win the battle, and there would be fighting and arguing, and there would be death and destruction for Rome, and Jesus was going to be set up as king. And Jesus has a conversation that says this: a new commandment I give to you. Now, think about that. We look at this from this side of the grave, and we see Jesus saying, a new commandment I give to you. And we say, oh, this is big news, because, Jesus is going to die on the cross, and then he's going to raise from the dead. But let's look at it from the perspective of the disciples. Jesus starts off this sentence with, a new commandment I give to you. And his disciples lean in a little bit, and they're like, oh yeah, this is going to be good. This is his new commandment as king. He is setting us up. This is going to be awesome. He's getting us ready to go into battle. This is like the hype up moment where he is just gearing everybody up for what is to come as he sets himself up as king. And he says this, that you are to love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this, all people will know you are my disciples if you have love for one another. Okay, so what is going on here? Because, let's be honest. You think about your favorite movie when it comes to the climax, right? You think about, let's say, Star Wars, major lightsaber scene. All right, some of you like Star Wars, some of you don't. Let's think of something else. Whatever your favorite movie may be, all right? and you're coming to the major climax scene where it's the big battle. The Avengers are fighting whoever they're fighting in whatever movie you're watching, right? They're coming to the big battle. Can you imagine if they got ready to go into battle and Thor stood up and he said, all right, everybody listen, one thing to say. Let's just love each other. All right, let's go into battle. Let's just be loving. Let's just be kind. Let's just, just like, come give me a hug. Right? Like, the disciples are probably at this point like, what? This is not the hype up speech that Jesus is supposed to give at this moment. The hype up speech Jesus is supposed to give is, let's go in, let's kick some butt, set me up as king, and then we're going to be able to turn around and change the way things work. But as you and I know, looking at it from this side of the grave, it was never about Jesus setting himself up as king. The hype up speech was about something much bigger than just an earthly kingdom. It was about a heavenly kingdom. And so Jesus' hype up speech looks a little bit different than we would ever expect a hype up speech to look like. When he jumps the fence and he charges down the track holding a flag, he says, love each other. He says, let's love each other. You see, I went over to Brad's house thinking my senior year was going to be just like every other year in high school that I had had before. I had played a few sports, kind of played a few sports. I had been involved in a few clubs. I had gone to the games, cheered in the student section, but that was about the extent of what my senior year was going to be. But then everything changed. One conversation, everything changed. And that conversation changed the way that I engaged with my senior year. And see, Jesus' disciples stepped into this night, stepped into this moment, and one conversation changed the direction they were headed. Now, granted, at this point, they still did not understand what was going on. Peter still goes to the Garden of Gethsemane ready to fight and cuts off a guy's ear. And Jesus, can you just imagine Peter's like, dude, Jesus, we're supposed to fight. Let's go. I'm going to cut this guy's ear. And Jesus is like, stop it. Remember my commandment. We're loving. And he picks up the guy's ear that's about to arrest him and take him to the cross, and he puts it back on his head. And so they didn't quite grasp what this new commandment meant, but something was changing. This conversation was altering the course of the disciples' life, and nothing was going to be the same. You see, it's about loving each other. And if we want to start the school year off right, it starts with understanding what God's love means for us personally, and then it means extending that love, that same love, to people around us. It means going out and leading people with love. How do you share Jesus with other people? You lead them with love. Jesus was very clear in his new commandment. You love each other. You lead people with love. You truly love them. My wife is awesome at this. It's one of the things that I love most about her. She is just incredible at loving people with the love of Jesus. It's one of the first things that attracted me to her. I remember we were in college and we were at a concert, and she was super excited. This band had come in for a conference at our Bible college with a bunch of high school students, and we as college students got to go to this concert that night, and she was loving this band and super excited. And this girl, this high school girl she didn't know, started crying right in the middle of everything, and God was working on her heart. And Kirsten walked out of the room, missed the concert to go get her Kleenexes and make sure she was okay. I've watched time and time again where Kirsten has people into our house and she fixes them a meal, or she sits down at our table and she just talks with them and has conversations and loves them and cares about them. I've seen time and time again where Kirsten just finds people that her life intersects with, and as she has time with those people, she just expresses the love of Jesus. And it's this incredible thing when we express the love of Jesus. People's lives start to change. I've seen it with my wife time and time again. She's had people into our house, and just by loving them, spiritual conversations come up. Things about their lives start to flow out. And she's able to give a Jesus perspective on who they are and how they're loved and how they should live their life. You see, I think too often we complicate this idea of sharing Jesus with other people. I think so often we think that it has to start with a conversation. It has to start with a conversation. We've got it kind of backward because we think that it has to start with a conversation and then we can love people. And Jesus says, "A new commandment I give you, that you love one another, that by this people will know you are my apostles." If you love one another, and it starts with love, and through the outflow of Jesus' love, it's Jesus' love that changes people. And through the outflow of that love, conversations start to happen, and through those conversations, lives start to change. You see, we lead with love. And so often we try to lead with conversations, and what happens when we try to lead with conversations is those conversations tend to come off as prideful, arrogant. Those conversations tend to come off as proving we're right to prove we're right for being right's sake. And Jesus is just flat out with his disciples. Jesus knows what's coming. He knows it's up to these 12 men to change the world. He could have told them anything at this point. He could have told them, "Listen, you want to change the world? You memorize the Bible. You make sure you've got it all down, and you go and you give it to people point by point by point by point by point, and you make sure they know." And while knowing the Bible is important, Jesus said, "This new commandment I give you," that's not going to be head knowledge that changes people. It's not going to be having the right thing to say. It's not going to be sharing me to win an argument. What's going to change people? You want to know the way to share me with those around you? You love them. You love them with this incredible, deep, unexplainable love that I have loved you with. You love them so well that they begin to open up to you about who they are and their lives, and the things they celebrate, and the things that hurt, and the things they struggle with, and the things that are going well. And through the love of me that you share with them, this incredible thing starts to happen where you have conversations that change their life. It's the love of Jesus that changes people. And Jesus said, "They will know you are my followers by the way you love each other." So my senior year was a blast. My friend Brad and I, we jumped the fence and ran up and down like crazy and got everybody excited at football games. We were in the front row at football games. We were in the front row at basketball games, and we borrowed a springboard from the gymnastics room, and like every time we scored a three, we jumped off the springboard and taped a big three on the wall. We were just nuts. We went to like cross country matches and tennis matches and things where you're supposed to be quiet, and like we would be obnoxiously loud just to get people excited. It was nuts, and it was a blast. And one conversation altered the way that I experienced my senior year. And here's the truth. When we love people, God opens up doors for us where we can have conversations. This year, God is going to open up doors for you where you are going to be able to have conversations. You are going to be able to have conversations that alter the way that people experience this school year. You are going to, through Jesus' love and the conversations that come out of that, have conversations. God is going to open up doors to alter the way that people experience not only this school year, but the rest of their lives. God is preparing you. And there are going to be doors that open wide. And listen, when doors begin to open up, this incredible thing happens. God gives you words and explanations, and it's not like we have to say, let me pull my Bible out of my back pocket and read these set verses. It's like suddenly your life with God is explained to the other person, and there's just this super comfortable, natural Jesus conversation that happens. The way that we show Jesus to other people is that we lead them with love. It doesn't start with a conversation, it starts with love. You see, if we want to start this school year off right, we have to understand that God truly, deeply, incredibly loves us. And through that deep, incredible love, we can share that deep, incredible love with other people. And it's that love that changes people. It's that love that opens up doors to conversations that are going to alter the course of their life forever. So let's start this school year off right. Let's know the love that God has for us, and let's uncomplicate everything. I may have just created a new word, uncomplicate. Let's uncomplicate everything. Let's take it all the way back and just understand that sharing Jesus is not so much about knowing the right thing to say as much as it is going out and loving people with the love that you have experienced from him. That's where life change happens. And I've seen it time and time and time again. God's going to open some doors for you this year. I'm convinced of it. He has a person in your life that he is setting up for you. And you may not see it right now. You may have an inkling of who it is right now, but you may not know when or how it's going to happen. But God is going to set up a moment for you where the doors open up and you have the opportunity to love them with the love of Jesus and have conversations that you never thought you would be having with this person because you have loved them well this school year. It all starts with love. And so let's start the school year off right. Let's know the love God has for us and share that love with other people. I give a practical challenge every week, and so I'm going to give a practical challenge for you guys again this week. And the band can come on up. The practical challenge is simply this. Maybe you'll know this right off the top of your head, and maybe you won't, but who is that one person? Who is that one person that you feel like this school year, God is saying, that's the person I want you to love. That's the person I'm setting up for you. That's how life change is going to happen, through the way that you love this person. Maybe you already know who that person is. I'm going to encourage you this week this year to pray for that person every day. Maybe you have no idea who that person is. And you know what? That's okay. Here's what I want to urge you to pray. My wife is really big on praying this, which is awesome. It changes things. I want to urge you to pray this every day this year. God, open up some doors. Open up some doors. We don't need to force through doors. We just need to walk through the ones God opens up. So just pray every day, God, open up some doors for me this year. Open up some doors for me to love people with your love. Let's start the school year off right. Let's know the love God has for us and share that same love with people around us.